Afghanistan, although nobody so far knows who actually did 9/11. But by attacking, they pushed all those elements who had been trained to fight the Russians into the tribal area of Pakistan and became a threat to us. And now it is clear that the attack was totally counterproductive. They have not been able to uproot the Taliban or weaken them or reduce terrorism. But as far as Pakistan is concerned, we had less than 200 casualties before 2001 in violence-related terrorism. And last year we had 3,300.
Okay, let me bring the debate here in Islamabad. Jeff, it sounds like a cop-out to suggest that a small country actually misleads the U.S. And you don't believe that?
Your statements are unsound and certainly not reality-based.
Okay.
I can't imagine where you're learning about America from. No American believes what you're saying. It's almost as though the information you're getting comes from what we call now the mainstream corporate Zionist media. No American takes that seriously anymore.
I mean, no American? So all the polls that we get
well, we have
are all sort of manipulated?
We have a small percentage of Christian Zionists. We have, well, President Bush's popularity rating was pushing single digits when he left office. That's the kind of numbers. The rest
of that's Pew numbers. I mean, Pew numbers are out there.
That follow the kind of beliefs that you're indicating. Just because Rupert Murdoch, an Australian Jew, owns most of the media in the West, and the rest of our media is owned by oil companies and defense contractors whose writers...
But Gordon, it's not just about the media. We're not exactly...
You mean the government itself?
Well, we're talking about academic research institutions. There are huge communities sitting inside the U.S. and there's an information flow.
Which are all typically controlled by moneyed interests tied specifically to defense industries, to oil industries, and to AIPAC, a foreign lobby within the U.S. that is the most powerful single instrument in American politics, AIPAC. And AIPAC has been allowed to function within the U.S. almost as a private government. There isn't a single elected official in the United States that AIPAC, with now under the new laws that were passed by our extremely unusual Supreme Court, any corporation, I don't care if Cesar Chavez owns it or Mao Zedong or whatever, can throw millions of dollars into any local election based on anyone being willing to stand up against Israeli policy and Israeli
let me bring in Jeff at this point, but staying on your point. Jeff, if this is like 1984 in 2010, I mean, this is like George Orwell telling us that everything that we hear is completely manipulated. How did you get your books published then?
This appears to be an alternative view and a conspiracy theory only because there's so much of the mainstream media is dominated by people who have an undisclosed bias. And so in the mainstream media you don't hear this. You don't hear enough of it. You're hearing a huge undercurrent of Americans realize something is fundamentally amiss. We went to war on false pretenses. Everyone knows that.
But that was a decision taken by your government. When you say that, is Israel, we've got huge issues with Israel, by the way. Make no mistake about it. But, it also sounds very strange that you're unwilling to accept responsibility for the decisions that you took that uprooted and killed lots of people. It's all very well to shift the blame now to Israel.
No. This is why I titled the book. We went to war on deception and self-deceit. We deceived ourselves to think we had an ally.
You made a mistake.
We thought we had an ally.
It was a bad policy. It was your policy.
We were deceived.
You were deceived. All right. Sherry, were they deceived?
Yes, I understand what is being said here. I think the discourse is now tilting towards, there's always an adroit marshalling of facts and views that goes into making an opinion, and these gentlemen have a very strong opinion. It must be respected, and I don't think we can hold them responsible for their government's policy or the way the state articulates its goals and objectives. What we have now, however, is an Obama administration, which is, well, it's not the Republicans, obviously, and it realizes that this war in Afghanistan can be their next Vietnam. They may not concede that publicly, but there is a great deal of anxiety about that. Everybody knows that the test of the Obama administration lies in winning, if you like, or now, of course, not the Afghan war, but now basically pursuing the Taliban to negotiate or fade into areas where they are not a threat. Now, you're absolutely right in saying that you were deceived into this war. I think that is one of the reasons why the Bush government fell. But I think it's very clear to the region, not just Pakistan, that the United States has made a bid, whatever motivated 9/11, has made a bid now to claim its stakes for pacifying and stabilizing Afghanistan and therefore the region somewhat. And Pakistan, whether we like it or not, have felt the blowback of American Afghan policy in its absence and its presence, in its aggression and its non-aggression from the 70s. So we are facing a very severe blowback. But there are clear differences between
But Sherry, at the same time, Sherry, at the same time, we are also closely engaged with the U.S. as far as the execution of this war strategy is concerned. So what these gentlemen are saying...
Absolutely. If the U.S. blunders, and you know there's a new Helmand offensive which is being acclaimed as the next
Maharaja, they've hoisted the flag, and it's a great victory and all that. But
I see it as it could be a major problem for Pakistan, because we end up being the anvil to the American hammer, and those who don't want to be
the problem right now,
reconciled
is that the Americans
are in Pakistan.
Okay. Your take on this, because we have gone gaga over the fact that there's a new administration in Washington, and forgetting the fact that basically this administration has pursued a more aggressive policy than even Bush administration. They're expanding the war theater. Holbrooke now says that Al-Qaeda is striking roots inside Central Asia as well. So the war theater is expanding. Your take on our assessment of Obama administration?
My assessment is that the Obama administration realized pretty early that it cannot win the war in Afghanistan in terms of defeating the Taliban and any support that they may be getting from Al-Qaeda. And so therefore, ultimately they have to find a exit strategy. But obviously, exit strategy which looks like a defeat is not tenable. So the surge, in my view, is a sugar coating, that we will first defeat them and then walk out. Now obviously it is too early to say what will happen, but in my view the difficulty lies in the fact that they want to talk to the Taliban, but no Taliban which really wield power in Afghanistan will agree to talk to them and become, second fiddle to Hamid Karzai's government in Afghanistan if they know that time is on their side. All they have to do is wait for 18 months, and as the Allied forces start getting diminishing, they'll get an upper hand. And this creates many problems. In my view, the only silver lining might be that Taliban may agree not to side with Al-Qaeda, although ideologically they're not part of the same organization. No Afghan has been involved in global terrorism so far in the last so many years. But yet, to make the things easier for them, they may agree to cut off whatever links. But the problem for Pakistan will remain serious. And Americans are asking us to move against the Afghan Taliban at a time when they themselves are talking to them, and at a time when they are talking of withdrawing also. So how do we cover our western flank? How do we deal with the Taliban after the Americans leave?
These are Pakistan's problems. Based on, so let me bring the discussion here. Your take on this. What should countries like Pakistan do, in whose strategic underbelly an expanding war is being fought? And now we discover from you guys that actually the war is being fought for the wrong reasons, by the wrong people. It's not exactly...
Well, you have an idea. First, we're talking about one Taliban. Now, we have even when we talk to people in Afghanistan, and we know many of the leaders in Afghanistan, and we advise some of them. In Afghanistan, they say that they have several different Talibans. There are certainly areas that are filled with